देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांडकोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव गंधतैल प्रिय गंधतैलमवधारय सदा बालरूपापि विघ्नाद्रिहन्त्री महादन्ति वक्त्रापि पञ्चास्यमान्या विधीन्द्रादिमृग्या गणेशाभिधामे विधत्तां श्रियं कापि कल्याणमूर्तिः न जानामि शब्दं न जानामि चार्थं न जानामि पद्यं न जानामि गद्यम् चिदेकाषाढस्य हृदि द्योतते मे मुखान्निस्सरन्ते गिरश्चापि चित्रम् मयूराधिरूढं महावाक्यगूढं मनोहारिदेहं महच्चित्तगेहम् महीदेवदेवं महावेदभावं महादेवबालं भजे लोकपालम् यदा सन्निधानं गता मानवा मे भवाम्भोधिपारं गतास्ते तदैव एते व्यञ्जयत् सिन्धुतीरे यास्ते तमीडे पवित्रं पराशक्तिपुत्रम् यथाब्धेस्तरङ्गालयं यान्ति तुङ्गाः तथैवापदः सन्निधौ सेवितां मे इति वोर्बिपङ्क्तिर्नृणां दर्शयन्तं सदा भावये हृत्सरोजे गुहं तम्.
The next offering is the offering of Abhishekam. Today, the presiding deity of the Utsava Mandapam is Paramashiva himself. His favorite Abhishekam is the offering of the Kshira Abhishekam, the milk offering. Our beloved Bhagavan is the very embodiment of Paramashiva. We now offer unto him the Kshira Abhishekam.
देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांडकोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव अभिषेक प्रिय अभिषेकमवधारय. ओम नमो भगवते रुद्राय. ओम नमस्ते रुद्रमण्यव उतोत इषवे नमः. नमस्ते अस्तु धन्वने बाहुभ्यामुतते नमः. यात इषु शिवतमा शिवं बभूवते धनुः. शिवाशरव्या यातवतया नो रुद्रमृडया. याते रुद्र शिवा तनोरघोरा पापकाशिनी. तजानस्तनुवाशन्तमया गिरिशन्ताभिचाकशीः. यामिषुं गिरिशन्तः स्ते बिभर्ष्यस्तवे. शिवां गिरित्रतां कुरु माहि पुंसि पुरुषं जगत्. शिवेन वचसा त्वा गिरिशाच्छा वदामसि. यथा न सर्वमिज्जगदयक्ष्मगुं सुमना असत्. अध्यवोचदधिवक्ता प्रथमो दैव्योऽभिषक्. अहीगृश्च सर्वाञ्जम्भयन् सर्वाश्च यातु धान्यः. असौ यस्ताम्रो अरुण उत बभ्रुस्व मङ्गलः. ये चेमागुं रुद्रा अभितो दिक्षु श्रिता. सहस्रशो वैशागुं हेडयीमहे. असव्यो वसर्पति नीलग्रीवो विलोहितः. उतैनं गोपा अदृशन्नदृशन्नुतहार्यः उतैनं विश्वा भूतानि सदृष्टो मृडयातिनः नमो अस्तु नीलग्रीवाय सहस्राक्षाय मीढुषे अथो ये अस्य सत्त्वानोऽहं तेभ्यो करन्नमः प्रमुञ्च धन्वनस्त्वमुभयोरात्निजोर्ज्याम् याश्च ते हस्त इषवः पराता भगवो वप The next offering is the offering of the Vastralankara Seva, the offering of various grand clothes to Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Swamiji. The Guru is the one who removes the veil of Maya, of delusion to all of us. He reveals the highest truth of oneness with Paramashiva. Maya Chitrapatachanna Nijaguhyoru Tejase Niravarana Vijnaya Vasaste Kalpayamyaham. Parandhama as Venkateshwara is the Alankara Priya. The richest and the purest silks are wrapped around the heavenly limbs of the deity of Tirumala Tirupati. The Vastralankaram is the adornment of the most beautiful dresses onto Swamiji. Along with the Vastralankara Seva, we will also be offering the Abharana Seva. The Abharana Alankaram is the offering of the traditional jewelry to Bhagavan. Venkateshwara is the deity that is bedecked with many ornaments and the supreme, most beautiful being in the cosmos. Shri Devi Mahalakshmi resides upon his very chest. Hence, Venkateshwara is also called as Shri Vatsankita. His darshan is sought out by millions and millions of pilgrims. Bhagavan is treasured by millions of people as the one who embodies all of their wealth. Invoking the highest sacred sentiments, let us offer these offerings of Vastram and Abharanam. Devadevottama Devata Sarvabhauma Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka Shri Sarvadeva Devi Swarupa Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam Alankara Sevam Avadharaya Kamala Kocha Chuchuka Kunkumato Nijata Runita Tulanilatano Kamalajata Lochana Lokapate Vijayi Bhava Venkata Shailapate Sachaturmukha Shanmukha Panchamukha Pramukhakila Daivata Maulimane Sharanagata Vatsala Saranidhe Paripalaya Mamvrisha Shailapate Ativela Tayata Vadurvishahai Anuvela Kritaira Parathashataihi Bharitam Tvaritam Vrisha Shailapate Paraya Kripaya Paripahi Hare Ishanam Jagatosya Venkatapater Vishnoh Param Prejasim Tadvakshasthala Nityavasa Rasikam Takshanti Sambardhinim Padmalankrita Pani Pallava Yugam Padmasanastham Shriyam Vatsalyadi Gunojvalam Bhagavatim Vande Jaganmataram Shriman Kripajala Nidhe Krita Sarvaloka Sarvajna Shaktana Tavatsala Sarvasheshin Swamin Sushila Sulabhashrita Parijata Shri Venkatesha Charanau Sharanam Prapadye आनूपुरार्पितसुजातसुगन्धिपुष्पसौरभ्यसौरभकरो समसन्निवेशौ सौम्यौ सदानुभवनेऽपि नवानुभाव्यौ श्रीवेङ्कटेशचरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। ॐ राजाधिराजाय प्रसह्य साहिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे समे कामां कामकामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः। श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः। उष्णीशं समर्पयामि, पुष्पमालां समर्पयामि।
The next offering is the offering of Archana. Is the offering of the scented sandalwood paste, the Divya Gandham. The sacred smell of the sandalwood paste has a divine fragrance that lingers and awakens the non-mechanical parts of the brain. In the Sri Suktam, the divine fragrance is described that remains after Mahalakshmi is there. It is described as that the very abundance and the wealth that Mahalakshmi gives to everyone is that very fragrance. Bhagavan has graced in our lives with the fragrance of bliss, Ananda itself, offering the purest of all scents, that is sandalwood. We invoke the highest sacred sentiments and offer the Divya Gandham.
देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांडकोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव गंधप्रिय दिव्य परिमल गंधान अवधारय। ओम गंधद्वारां दुरादर्शां नित्यपुष्टां करीषिणीं ईश्वरीकुं सर्वभूतानां तामिहोपह्वये श्रियम् मनसः काममाकूतिं वाचः सत्यमशीमहि पशूनां रूपमन्नस्य मयि श्रीश्रयतां यशः कर्दमेन प्रजाभूतां मयि सम्भवकर्दम श्रियं वासय मे कुले मातरं पद्ममालिनीम् आपसृजन्तु स्निग्धानि चिक्लीतवस मे गृहे निच देवीं मातरगुं श्रियं वासय मे कुले आद्रां पुष्करिणीं पुष्टिं पिङ्गलां पद्ममालिनीं चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः आद्रां ह्यक्करिणीं यष्टिं सुवर्णां हेममालिनीं सूर्यां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः तां महावः जातवेदो लक्ष्मीं मनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं प्रभूतं गावो दास्योश्वान् विन्देयं पुरुषानहम्.
Next is the offering of Archana. Swamiji says that the long puja and sitting for a long time and basking oneself in the highest sacred sentiments is what is real puja. Delaying any other gratification other than the truth of oneness with Paramashiva and sitting for puja is told to be done in one very verse of Guru Gita, where it is said, one should worship the feet of the Guru until the scene disappears and one is emerged with oneness with the Guru in Advaita. So, let us offer the Archana at the divine lotus feet of Bhagavan, chanting the Ashtottara Shatanamavali of Paramashiva himself. Offering to the 5 faces of Paramashiva, we will offer the Pancha Mukha Archana.
एवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव पुष्पार्चन प्रिय नानाविध परिमल पत्र पुष्पार्चनमवधारय। ओम शिवाय नमः, ओम महेश्वराय नमः, ओम शंभवे नमः, ओम पिनाकिने नमः, ओम शशिशेखराय नमः, ओम वामदेवाय नमः, ओम विरूपाक्षाय नमः, ओम कपर्दिने नमः, ओम नीललोहिताय नमः, ओम शंकराय नमः, ओम शूलपाणये नमः, ओम खट्वांगिने नमः, ओम विष्णुवल्लभाय नमः, ओम शिपिविष्टाय नमः, ओम अंबिकानाथाय नमः, ओम श्रीकंठाय नमः, ओम भक्तवत्सलाय नमः, ओम भवाय नमः, ओम शर्वाय नमः, ओम त्रिलोकेशाय नमः, ओम श्रुतिकंठाय नमः, ओम शिवाप्रियाय नमः, ओम उग्राय नमः, ओम कपालिने नमः, ओम कामारये नमः, ओम अंधकासुरसूदनाय नमः, ओम गंगाधराय नमः, ओम ललाटाक्षाय नमः, ओम कलिकालाय नमः, ओम कृपानिधये नमः, ओम भीमाय नमः, ओम परशुहस्ताय नमः, ओम मृगपाणये नमः, ओम जटाधराय नमः, ओम कैलासवासिने नमः, ओम कवचिने नमः, ओम कठोराय नमः, ओम वृषांगाय नमः, ओम वृषभारूढ़ाय नमः, ओम भस्मोद्धूलितविग्रहाय नमः, ओम सामप्रियाय नमः, ओम स्वरमयाय नमः, ओम त्रयीमूर्तये नमः, पराय नमः, ओम सर्वज्ञाय नमः, ओम परमात्मने नमः, ओम सोमसूर्याग्निलोचनाय नमः, ओम हविषे नमः, ओम यज्ञमयाय नमः, ओम सोमाय नमः, ओम पंचवक्त्राय नमः, ओम सदाशिवाय नमः, ओम विश्वेश्वराय नमः, ओम वीरभद्राय नमः, ओम गणनाथाय नमः, ओम प्रजापतये नमः, ओम हिरण्यरेतसे नमः, ओम दुर्धर्षाय नमः, ओम गिरिशाय नमः, ओम अनघाय नमः, ओम भुजंगभूषणाय नमः, ओम भर्गाय नमः, ओम गिरिधन्वने नमः, ओम गिरिप्रियाय नमः, ओम कृत्तिवाससे नमः, ओम पुरारातये नमः, ओम भगवते नमः, ओम प्रमथाधिपाय नमः, ओम मृत्युंजयाय नमः, ओम सूक्ष्मतनवे नमः, ओम जगद्व्यापिने नमः, ओम जगद्गुरवे नमः, ओम व्योमकेशाय नमः, ओम महासेनजनकाय नमः, ओम चारुविक्रमाय नमः, ओम रुद्राय नमः, ओम भूतपतये नमः, ओम स्थानवे नमः, ओम अहिर्बुद्ध्याय नमः, ओम दिगंबराय नमः, ओम अष्टमूर्तये नमः, ओम अनेकात्मने नमः, ओम सात्विकाय नमः, ओम शुद्धविग्रहाय नमः, ओम शाश्वताय नमः, ओम खंडपरशवे नमः, ओम रजसे नमः, ओम पाशविमोचकाय नमः, ओम मृडाय नमः, ॐ पशुपतये नमः। ॐ देवाय नमः। ॐ महादेवाय नमः। ॐ अव्ययाय नमः। ॐ हरये नमः। ॐ भगनेत्रभिदे नमः। ॐ अव्यक्ताय नमः। ॐ दक्षाध्वरहराय नमः। ॐ हराय नमः। ॐ पूषदन्तभिदे नमः। ॐ सहस्राक्षाय नमः। ॐ सहस्रपदे नमः। ॐ अपवर्गप्रदाय नमः। ॐ अनन्ताय नमः। ॐ तारकाय नमः। ॐ परमेश्वराय नमः। ॐ त्रिलोचनाय नमः। श्री नित्यानन्देश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। श्री नित्यानन्देश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिव अवतारभूत श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः।
The next offering is the offering of the dhupa. The sambrani, the traditional dasangam, or the incense are there to energize the space. At the time of power manifestation, the dasangam elevates one's space to that of Paramashiva, where one can experience the oneness. The very smell and the fragrance can raise one consciousness and awaken the non-mechanical parts of the brain. This dasangam is offered to Paramashiva here, who is here as in the form of our beloved Bhagavan. Let us now offer the dhupa.
देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव धूप प्रिय दशांक गुग्गुल समन्वित धूपमवधारय। ओम धूरसि धूर्वधूर्वन्तं धूर्वतयोऽस्मान् धूर्वदितं धूर्वयं वयं दूर्वामस्त्वं देवानामसि सस्तितमं पप्रितमं दुष्टतमं वह्नितमं देवहूतममहृतमसि हविर्दानं त्रिकुम्भस्वमाह्वा मित्रस्य त्वा चक्षुषा प्रेक्षे माभिर्मा संविक्था मा त्वाहि कुंसिजुम्। श्री सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः। धूपमाघ्रापयामि। The next offering is the offering of the Panchadipam. The next offering is the offering of Panchadipam, the offering of lit lamps. In the Arunachaleshwara temple of the Bharani Deepam and Kartikeya Deepam festivals signifies the creation of cosmos and the final journey of everything back to Paramashiva. Bhagavan is Arunachala himself. Let us invoke the highest sacred sentiments and offer the Panchadipam. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूप भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव दीप प्रिय पंचमुख दीपम अवधारय। ओम उद्दीप्य स्वजात वेदोपघ्नन्नरृतंबम पशोगश्चमख्यमावह जीवनं च दिशो दिश मानो हि पुंसि जात वेदो गामश्वं पुरुषं जगत् अभिप्रदग्न आगहि श्रिया मा परिपातय। श्री सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः। दीपं दर्शयामि।
We now offer the Aratrikam, the Aratrika Seva. We now offer the Naivedya Seva, the offering of food.
The Padayal Seva is an offering of food items in a large quantity placed on a traditional banana leaf. This offering is tradition to Mahamariyamman, Parashakti. Those who have Mahamariyamman as the Kuladevata, the Padayal Seva is offered in celebration of any success or any prayer for success. It is in this Padayal Seva, the warm food is mixed before Mahamariyamman and the priest takes morsels of the mixed food and shows the food to Devi morsel by morsel for her to eat. Seeing Devi really partake the food is the sacred sentiment behind this offering.
The offering of Naivedya is mixed traditionally by the priest and fed to Devi. It is in the deepest sentiments of Hinduism where food is hand-fed to the deity. With the very hand, the food is mixed and offered to the deity. In the same way, a mother would mix the food for the child. In the same way, invoking that deep sacred sentiment, we offer the food directly to Parashakti, who is here before us in the form of our beloved Bhagavan. Invoking these highest sacred sentiments, we now offer the Padayal Seva.
Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Avighnam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Amrite Amritodbhave Amritavarshini Amritam Shravaya Shravaya Swaha Mahaganapati Namaha Narikela Khandadvayam Nivedami. Om मधुवातार्तायते मधुक्षरन्ति सिन्धवः माध्वीर्णसन्तोषधीः मधुनक्तमुतोषसि मधुमत्पार्थिवगुम्रजः मधुद्यौरस्तु नः पिता मधुमान्नो वनस्पतिर्मधुमागुमस्तु सूर्यः माध्वीर्गावो भवन्तु नः मधु मधु मधु. ओम अमृते अमृतोद्भवे अमृतवर्षिणी अमृतं श्रावय श्रावय स्वाहा. ओम मधुवातार्तायते मधुक्षरन्ति सिन्धवः माध्वीर्णसन्तोषधीः मधुनक्तमुतोषसि मधुमत्पार्थिवगुम्रजः मधुद्यौरस्तु नः पिता मधुमान्नो वनस्पतिर्मधुमागुमस्तु सूर्यः माध्वीर्गावो भवन्तु नः मधु मधु मधु. ओम अमृते अमृतोद्भवे अमृतवर्षिणी अमृतं श्रावय श्रावय स्वाहा श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः अमृतं महानैवेद्यं निवेदयामि The next offering is the offering of Pancharti. This offering of Deeparadhana is the offering of flames in various towered lamps. The Gopurarti is numbered representing the 108 dispelled darkness. When we light these towered lamps and offer them our beloved deities, the lamps awaken and align our energy centers to receive the darshan of the deities. The upliftment of our energies and senses through combination of lit lamps and the rhythmic ragas of various instruments, the Tirkailaya Vadyam, takes us to surreal experience of deities darshan and transports us to the authentic experience of a temple ambience. Devadevottama devata sarvabhauma akhilanda koti brahmanda nayaka Shri Sarvadeva Devi Swarupa Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam Deeparadhana Priya Panchadeeparadhanam Avadharaya Om Somo va etasya rajyamadatte Yo rajasan rajyo vaso mena yajate Devasubha medhani habigumshi bhavanti Ya etavanto vai devanagum savaha Sa evasmai savan prajachanti Sa ena punasubante rajyaya Devasuraja bhavati Ragauram Karunavataram Samsarasaram Bhujagendraharam Sada Vasantam Hridayaravinде Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Shri Sarvadeva Devi Swarupaya Bhagavate Shri Nithyananda Paramashivaya Namaha Sarvopachararthe Sarvamangalavapyarthe सर्वापराधक्षमापणार्थे कर्पूरनीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि रक्षान्धारयामि बृहत्सामक्षत्रभृद्वृद्धवृष्टियं त्रिष्टुभौजशुभितमुग्रवीरम् इन्द्रस्तोमेन पञ्चदशेन मध्यमितं वातेन सगरेण रक्षान्धारयामि The next offering is the offering of Pushpanjali. The offering of fragrant flowers with devotion. I surrender to Guru who, by giving the knowledge about the self, has burnt my karmic baggage of so many births. I surrender to He who is the Lord of the cosmos, who is the Guru of the cosmos. My soul is the same soul which is in all the beings. The offering of Vedo Pushpanjali is a conclusionary offering of the Maha Puja, chanting the Veda mantras that declare the conscious sovereignty of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. We offer our love and gratitude at His divine lotus feet.
At the end of the puja, it is the time to offer our deepest gratitude. Above all, whether we ask for any prayer or we want anything to beloved and sweetest way to connect with the Guru is through gratitude. Invoking the highest sacred sentiments and offering gratitude at the divine lotus feet of Swamiji, let us offer the Vedokta Mantra Pushpanjali. Pushpanjalihi Om Yopam Pushpam Veda Pushpavan Brajavan Pasuman Bhavati Chandramava Apam Pushpam Pushpavan Brajavan Pasuman Bhavati Yopamayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Agnirva Apamayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Yognirayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Apova Agnirayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Ya evam Veda Yopamayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Vayurva Apamayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Yo Vayorayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Apo Vai Vayorayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Ya evam Veda Yopamayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Aso Vaitapannapamayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Yo Mushyatapata Ayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Apova Amushyatapata Ayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Ya evam Veda Yopamayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Chandramava Apamayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Yaschandramasa Ayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Apo Vai Chandramasa Ayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Ya evam Veda Yopamayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Parjanyo va apamayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Ya Parjanyaskyayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Apo Vai Parjanyaskyayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Ya evam Veda Yopamayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Nakshatrani va apamayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati Yo Nakshatranam Ayatanam Veda Ayatanavan Bhavati Apo Vai Nakshatranam Ayatanam Ayatanavan Bhavati
य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति संवत्सरो वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यः संवत्सरस्यायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै संवत्सरस्यायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योऽप्सुनावं प्रतिष्ठितां वेद प्रत्येवतिष्ठति ॐ तत्सर्वम् ॐ तत्पुरोर्नमः अन्तश्चरिभूतेषु गुहायां विश्वमूर्तिषु त्वं यज्ञस्त्वं वषट्कारस्त्वमिन्द्रस्त्वं रुद्रस्त्वं विष्णुस्त्वं ब्रह्मस्त्वं प्रजापतिः त्वं तदाप आपो ज्योतिरसो व्रतं ब्रह्म भूर्भुवस्सु वरो यो वेदादो स्वर प्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिरीनस्य यः परस्य महेश्वरः श्री सर्वदेवदेवी स्वरूपाय भगवते श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवाय नमः वेदोक्त मंत्र पुष्पांजलिं समर्पयामि मंगलम कल्पवृक्षाय मंगलम ज्ञानदायिने सदाशिवाय श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वराय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलम् श्रीविद्याम्बायै मङ्गलम् मदायिन्ये सर्वमङ्गलदात्री नित्यानन्देश्वर्यै मङ्गलम् मङ्गलम् गुरुदेवाय मोक्षमूलाय मङ्गलम् परावता ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत् सर्वं भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव पादुकार्पणमस्तु। ॐ नित्य
Nithyanandam, we come to the conclusion of today's Maha Guru Puja. We welcome all the viewers of Kailasa TV and all the participants participating here and online in the Maha Guru Puja to join us tomorrow on the 4th day, where we celebrate the Shaiva Siddhanta Sampradaya and offer once again the Maha Guru Puja at the Divine Lotus feet of our beloved Swamiji. Thank you, Nithyanandam.
Uppammal, my godmother, my Guru, Guru Mata. She is not only my Guru, she is literally my grandmother. Means my father's mother's close friend. Both of them were only the very close, thick friends, and both of them are initiated into Srividya Sampradaya by Isaki Swami. Both of them were great yoginis. Uppammal will call every specialist, expert in different fields, like is Narayana Swami Tata, who is adept in the power manifestation science and mantra shastra, herbal aushadha science. She will call him regularly and make sure I learn everything from him. She had many of that kind of contact, the great enlightened beings, siddhas, adepts in various fields. She will get all of them and make sure I receive all the knowledge and I am enriched, never possessive. She always owned me and made me successful, never possessed me or controlled me. Uppammal, she supported me in the Vedanta, the Vedic mind. When I had the enlightenment experience, first instruction Uppammal gave me is this only. You are carrying somebody very important in your heart. She used to cook and feed me, and she also used to give a lot of uncooked herbs to prepare my body and keep my body stable. The first instruction she gave after 2.5 days, remember, Brahmaivaham. Please understand, she says, remember, this body is the vehicle of Brahman, cosmos. She did not tell me, Aham Brahmasmi. She said, Brahmaivaham. Means let this body is a vehicle of that Brahman. You are carrying the most important person in the world. Not VIP, very important person. MIP, most important person. Once, Uppammal, my mentor and Guru, she was really worthy of that word. Vibhudanandapuri. She told me that you need to learn how to drop the identity. 15-year-old boy, what will I understand? I said, you tell me what I should do, I'll do. She gave me a begging bowl and told me, go around and beg all over the city and come back. My grandfather is a big guy in that village. But I have to go. Then slowly, I picked up my bowl and said, all right, I'll go for begging. Then she gave me the kavi to wear and I put on my kavi. I tell you, I could see very clearly the body which is standing and begging is different. I am different. explosion happened in Arunachala Linga, the Arunachaleshwara. And she used to say, she brought that explosion through Mahakala Bhairava. In Arunachaleshwara temple, there is a beautiful Mahakala Bhairava with 8 hands on the banks of Brahmatirtham, the temple tank. And she said she brought through that Mahakala Bhairava's deity and kept it in Brahmatirtham to cool off, to settle. Then brought it to my mother's womb. And she says my mother's womb and my father's body both were prepared at the same time. Then through father's body the male component was brought into my mother's womb and I was given form and manifested. And the whole mantra, tantra and Vedanta, the mother is Mata Uppammal.
My guru's Anyakara about me was Sugabrahma. Uppammal, she constantly will say, you should be like Sugabrahma and you are Sugabrahma. That's why she gave me the name, Diksha name. And she declared I am an incarnation as Brahma Sukhi. That was the name she gave.
மான்மதம் செங்குருதி போல் மலரும் மாதுளம் மாதுளம் சிதறும் முத்தம் செந்தீயின் வண்ணமெனவே சொல்லும் மேனியும் செப்பரிய அழகு வடிவும் சிங்காதனத்திலும் சிவனார் மனத்திலும் சீர்கொண்டு இளங்கும் எனினும் ஈந்தாய் நின் பேர் சொல்லும் ஏழையே அறிவிலும் என்றென்றும் திகழ அருள்வாய் இறைவியனை ஆண்டருளும் நித்ய நித்யேஸ்வரி நித்ய புரி வாழும் உமையே நோக்கும் திசை தோறும் நூபுறத்தாள்களும் நூல் போல் ஒசிந்த இடையும் நொடித்தோறும் புதிதான எழில் கொள்ளும் நுவலறிய திருமேனியும் வார்க்கும் குமக்கச்சு மார்பும் அம்மார்பினில் வாடாத மலர் மாலையும் வைரமோடு நவமணி வயங்கும் மங்கள நானும் மனம் வீசும் இனிய பொலிவும் காக்கும் கரங்களும் அங்குச பாசம் கரும்புவில் மலர்கள் ஐந்தும் கனிவாயில் மூரலும் கருணை பொழிவிழிகளும் கனகமணி ஒளிரும் முடியும் என்னை ஆண்டருளும் நித்ய நித்யேஸ்வரி நித்ய புரி வாழும் உமை.
Maha Guru Puja, which we offered for this Guru Poornima Bramhotsavam festival, this ongoing festival as we celebrate and commemorate our gurus. Now we'll be entering into the next segment of today's program and understand the next series in the next part of the series in the presentation on the Hindu Holocaust and the persecution against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Now today we'll be understanding more about what has happened in different aspects of the Hindu Holocaust, some of the most tragic, most devastating attacks against Hindus and also against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in the last couple of decades. The next slide, please. Now we're going to be understanding the point of view of the Kashmiri Shaivites and in Kashmir, and what happened in the Holocaust and genocide against the Hindus and in Kashmir. Now, the most intelligent and intellectual Hindu sampradaya is the Kashmiri Shaivism. Kashmiri Shaivism is the intellectual treat for the world given by Hindus, and the entire sampradaya was destroyed by anti-Hindu terrorists. It's only now in the form of a little relics kept in a museum. All the scriptures were getting destroyed by the anti-Hindu terrorists, and some of the acharyas have written the essence of pure techniques and sutras in a cave on a wall. They carved it and left it, and after some time, some rape and abduction of women was also reported, and estimates measure the death count as over 20,000. However, it was in the year 1990 when Hindus were completely exterminated from Kashmir. In 1990, to kill people saying that they were kafir was not politically a good strategy anymore. So internationally also, it would not be justifiable strategy. They needed a better strategy. Now, we'll also understand the Hindu Holocaust that happened in Bangladesh. Have you ever heard before about the 1971 Hindu genocide done in Bangladesh? And if we see just the numbers, in 1951, there were 22% of the population was Hindu. And in 2011, it dropped more than 50% to 8.9%. And we had 3 million dead Hindus and 300,000 who were raped. And the Kashmiri propaganda was used to justify Hindu genocide. After losing the war in the 1970s, the terrorists, in revenge, created a fictitious identity called Kashmiriyat. Kashmiriyat word was coined to imply Islamic origin of Kashmir. They claimed the land solely belonged to people of their religion, and Hindus had nothing to do with Kashmiriyat or Kashmir. Kashmiriyat word was cunningly used to mask and disguise what was actually religious intolerance and religious persecution as a dispute originating from geography. The international community thought it was a geographical dispute, and they stayed away. While killing Hindus, terrorists needed nothing more than knowing they were killing kafirs, the non-believers of their religion. And the malicious anti-Hindu mass media confused the entire country to think it was a political geographical dispute, but it was nothing, and it was something to do with war crime, and Kashmir was just a war zone. The average Indian citizen was systematically brainwashed by media mafia to think that he or she need not have any ounce of sympathy or empathy or feeling of standing up for human rights or religious rights of Hindus. The religious extremists forewarned all Hindus to either leave, convert, or die. And following this, thousands of Hindu men, women, and children were brutally killed. Before the exodus of 1990, there were at least 160,000 Hindus who lived in Kashmir. And today, 30 years after the violent exodus, there's only 4,000. And terrorists have only 3 options in Hindus: either convert, flee, or perish. We can go on to the next slide. But if we see the reality of the situation, the Hindu population, even in Kashmir, even small children were being absolutely murdered grossly. How can someone kill small children? Because of geographical disputes, because of religious extremism, because children were kafir, or because the children out of their fictitious Kashmiriya descendancy. Whatever reason the killer may have subscribed to, how can somebody justify anything if it comes to murder? Kailasa is the one hope for reviving the Kashmiri Shaivism. And Kailasa is reviving sampradayas like the Kashmiri Shaivism, which got completely destroyed. Kailasa is recreating and reviving the sampradayas, monasteries, temples, deities, library, and everything needed to revive the ancient tradition. But in the incomplete antithesis to established laws, the state police foisted an illegal case against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. On the 4th March 2010, the state police of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka together foisted an illegal case against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. It involved glaring illegalities which were completely contrary to well-established laws and procedures. It was against basic human rights and absolutely unconstitutional. In this, one of the anti-Hindu militant leaders gave a letter with false information to the police. And this particular anti-Hindu mentioned no crime, no victim, no witness, and nor any evidence. The so-called complaint of this anti-Hindu militant terrorist named Lenin was an obvious facade for the blatant lawfare that was unleashed against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Despite having no complaint, no crime, no victim, and no jurisdiction, no crime prima facie or anything, yet the complaint was instantaneously registered at 8 p.m. on 4th March 2010 by the police and this was 48 hours after a morph video had been released with a massive wave of character assassination incited and launched to incite mob violence, mob hatred, mob lynching, and even multiple assassination attempts against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. On the 2nd, we also have the false stories that were maliciously accepted by the police station as a formal police complaint. Third, the Egmore police on their own had an IPC section 376 of rape, even though the letter by Lenin in itself did not even mention any word of rape. The police acted beyond the legal reach of the jurisdiction for a matter of Bidadi, Karnataka. The fabricated complaint was transferred 400 kilometers to the jurisdiction of Bidadi of the matter, and the Karnataka police offered a bribe inviting people to pose as a false witnesses. And 7th, nobody accepted the bribe to become false witnesses. Even before arresting the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the police lied to the court saying that they had already arrested the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. A few hours later, the police actually illegally arrest him. These are the series of crimes that so many anti-Hindu elements and terrorists had worked together to execute against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And this is a photograph of one of the main conspirators and anti-Hindu militants. He's a pawn of the anti-Hindu conspirators who gave a letter to the police in the name of a complaint. And again, he neither mentioned any crime, nor any victim, or any witnesses, or any semblance in the complaint. But the police accepted it as a formal police complaint, with no primary investigation even. evident from this complaint is not any so-called crime by the Supreme Court of Hinduism, but Lenin's own criminal intent and conduct towards women, as he himself admits that he had hated the Supreme Court of Hinduism for engendering and protecting a safe enlightenment ecosystem tuned to higher spiritual pursuits, for which brahmacharya or celibacy for those who chose to walk in this path as monks is part of the chosen lifestyle. Now, we have to ask ourselves, in a country where you live, can somebody narrate a story about like this and have it accepted by the police? The next slide, please. And these false stories were maliciously accepted by the police station, and it was converted into a formal complaint. The next slide, please. The next slide, please. The malicious false case on the basis of baseless suspicion was registered 400 kilometers far from the residence of the Supreme Court of Hinduism, which is the legal jurisdiction by law for any complaint. It is very clear that it is an absolutely unlawfully created illegal complaint beyond their jurisdiction that was transferred 400 kilometers to the jurisdiction. And the case was unlawful, beyond the jurisdiction, and absolutely fabricated. And there was even no real complainant. Even the main anti-Hindu conspirator had claimed only of his suspicions. The next slide, please. The Karnataka police offered bribes openly on television channels, and you're seeing some of the examples here. On television channels, newspapers, and social media to create false witnesses, but nobody accepted their offer. The desperate police begged and threatened even female devotees of the Supreme Court of Hinduism, like the well-known actress Ranjita, to make false allegations of rape. And here you're seeing these article clippings where it's saying the CID has invited more information about cases lodged against the Supreme Court of Hinduism, ashram in Bidadi. The sleuths have promised to protect the informant's identity, and travel and other costs will be provided too. This is a blatant bribe on public news channels and newspapers. Again, here it says, CID chief goes on Facebook and appeals to victims of crime to come forward and depose against the Supreme Court of Hinduism. And so far, no one has bothered to respond to his hope. Nobody even accepted the bribe to become a false witness. Even before arresting the Supreme Court of Hinduism, it was lied in court saying that they had already arrested him. A few hours later, the police actually illegally arrested him. And this was in spite of the fact that they did not even find a single false accuser or of the false rape count of Hinduism in this fabricated complaint. If there had been no lie, the Council of the Supreme Court of Hinduism would have secured an anticipatory bail, after which the Supreme Court of Hinduism could not have been arrested. If this was a straightforward case of sexual abuse, as claimed by the anti-Hindu militant, terrorists, and the media nexus, who was the victim? Neither was there any victim mentioned in the third person's complaint, or is there even a word of rape mentioned? Yet a massive manhunt is launched and lawfare is launched. Why? There were so many unanswered questions. The justification propaganda was launched. Humanitarian services by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was literally buried under a flood of lawfare and hate propaganda, targeting and singling out the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and shaming and socially isolating him. So the anti-Hindu terrorists and anti-Guru Hindu mafia could carry out their plan to assassinate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in anonymity. And you'll just watch this brief video where it shows how multiple states together foisted the illegal cases against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and show the juxtaposition of what the media said and what the truth was. Yes, we can go on to the next slide. Another false case was filed in Puducherry, Tamil Nadu against the Supreme Pontiff on the 5th of March 2010. And already the exact same false case had been filed a few days earlier in another city in Tamil Nadu, and yet was based on the same false, absurd allegations. Multiple same false cases were filed against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, which is illegal. It's basically like double jeopardy. In the meantime, hundreds of temples, centers, and monasteries founded by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and established by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism were literally burned, raided, and destroyed. In 6 days, 3 complaints from 3 different locations, Puducherry and 2 other locations, on the very same false allegation of hurting religious sentiment from multiple third parties were filed against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And these false complaints, the previous slide, please. These false complaints were used to deny bail to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism with the intention to keep him imprisoned forever. In prison, attempts were made to kill the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and only 6 years later, some of these false complaints were quashed by respective courts, terming them as baseless. And sandalwood trees grow naturally in the monastery of Bengaluru in Adi Kailash, as it is close to the forest area. However, on the 26th of April 2010, the police sent a notice to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism demanding him to appear in court in 19 days prior to the date of the notice. Here we have that very notice, where it's from the Assistant Forest Officer in Ramnagara Division, and the date 19 days prior to the when the letter was actually dated, they had summoned the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in court. False charges of sandalwood smuggling were non-bailable. It was a planned strategy to arrest the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and keep him indefinitely in custody until they could force a false confession from him using severe forms of torture. The cunning strategy of lawfare using false allegations of specially selected non-bailable crimes supported by the character assassination through media justification propaganda were deployed to justify the unlawful arrest of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and his prolonged time in custody with no basis whatsoever, and shocking custodial torture and relentless multiple assassination attempts. The police raided the monastery and they caught hold of simple pieces of fabric on which tiger skin pattern was printed. The media immediately framed the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism on false charges of using wildlife animal products such as real tiger print, pelt, skin of leopard and spotted deer, and wild dog. Similarly, several other absurd false cases were filed against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And not only this, but on top of that, there were more than 14,000 hours of defamatory and hate speech spread in the media. And the map of India here is showing the state of Tamil Nadu in saffron. The regions in saffron show places where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had established more than 5 major temple monasteries and more than 55 temples in the entire state. During the first week of March 2010, all the temples were burned and destroyed and shut down by anti-Hindu militant forces. And the police sent an illegal notice to the banks ordering them to freeze the bank accounts of the public charitable trust associated with the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The residents were left to die with no food or support and were told, if you don't have food, eat air. And not just this, but the anti-Hindu elements in the central government departments, such as the Ministry of External Affairs, the Passport Office, also acted against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The Passport Office impounded the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's passport with no notice and for no reason. And we also see how in the media had been continuously trying to create a false victim against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. In a shocking display of open warfare. They advertised in the newspaper and in Facebook, inviting anyone who would be ready to come and in order to file as a false victim, file a false complaint against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And the police even openly declared that a bribe so that the victims who were not there could come forward. And here, are some of the media articles during this time. The complaint against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism did not mention any victim, yet the charges slapped against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism were rape and unnatural sex. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was a victim of a huge conspiracy, and the religious sentiments of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism followers were relentlessly abused. But the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was slapped with conspiracy, cheating, and hurting religious sentiments. Later, in September 2010, the High Court of Karnataka itself described this entire false case and trial as torture, targeting the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism under the guise of suspicion. The truth is that His Divine Holiness, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the truth is that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continues to contribute to the revival of the most ancient, pristine Hindu civilization, the enlightenment ecosystem, through Kailasa, the only Hindu nation. To revive Kailasa, the ancient enlightened civilization, and the great cosmic borderless Hindu nation, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism works untiringly in the following two directions. As the current coronated pontiff of the ancient temple monastery complexes called the Adinams, and also by establishing new Adinams across the world. The next slide, please. Not by revolution, by evolution is the solution. In Kailasa, there's no conflict or war. And by settling model communities, enlightenment ecosystems, the Sarvagna Pitas is the solution that Kailasa is doing across all over the world. And this is the reality that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been contributing for the last more than 2 decades, the last 27 years. Anti-Hindu terrorists and anti-Guru Hindu mafia have been attacking Hindus and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, trying to force the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism to stop or halt his mission. But life will become a failure fighting with enemies. Kailasa and the citizens of Kailasa need to start doing and taking responsibility in order to ensure that Hinduism is protected for the next generation. And the real work for which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the incarnation of Paramashiva, happened on planet Earth is fulfilled for the whole of humanity. And not only this, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is continuously, every single day, been guiding each and every one of us and helping each and every one of us achieve the super conscious breakthrough through various programs, through darshans and Dikshas, and of course, the Nithyananda Satsang. Now, it has come time for each and every one of us to get ready for the darshan of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the darshan of Paramashiva himself. Let us get ready and sit with our head, neck, and spine in a straight line. And sit with your head and neck and spine in a straight line. And let's begin chanting the Mahavakya and get ready for the presence of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Continue chanting the Mahavakya and let us get ready for the darshan, the divine presence of the incarnation of Paramashiva. Let's get ready.
Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nithyananda 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 Paramashivoham. Ananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda 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 Paramashivoham.
Connecting with the divine with your eyes closed is meditation. Connecting with divine with your eyes open is darshan. Come, let us all now move from meditation to darshan. Slowly, very slowly, please open your eyes.
ಭಕ್ತಗಳು ಕನುಕೂಲನೆ ಭಕ್ತಗಳು